The key is that Rome did not convert to Christianity, but rather Christianity converted to Rome.
All right. David from Michigan, you are live on the air. My friend, go ahead and tell Rabbi your question.
Thank you. How you doing, Rabbi? Good to hear you again. So my question is, how would I, as someone, as a Noahide, and I get into a lot of debates with Christians and whatnot, how would I prove to them or show them in the Tanakh or any source that Mashiach has to be patrilineal descent from King David, which would disqualify Jesus? And also, why is it, Christians kind of look over that, or maybe they don't know that? I'm not sure. But that's the question.
It's very clear in the book of Numbers. Now, why would a holy book have a name that sounds like it's a book for mathematicians, Numbers? So the book of Numbers, Sefer Bamidbar, begins with a census of the Jewish people of men of military age of 603,550 men, 20 to 60. But how do you know what tribe you're from? So the Torah says openly, it's Lemishbechaisam Leveis Avoisam. It's said a number of times. The way you know what tribe you're from is your family and your father's house. It's very, very clear. So tribe identity is only through the son, and the Mashiach is the heir to King David, and he is the final king of the Davidic dynasty. It really is quite all over the place. A very famed place to look at is 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 12 through 16. It's only the son. And therefore, when Christianity invents the idea, marshals the pagan idea that their deity was born to a virgin, as we first encounter in Matthew and Luke, which are, although appear fairly early in a Christian Bible, are really chronologically among the last books to be written. Okay, they're very, very late. So this is a later development in the church. And when Matthew and Luke adopt this idea, you'll find it in only 2 chapters in Matthew and 2 chapters in Luke. It's called the infancy narratives. They sabotage the whole claim that Jesus could possibly be the Messiah. Because if Jesus was born to a virgin, then he doesn't have a human Jewish father with which to trace his genealogy back to King David, and then the whole thing is worthless. So it's sort of what the church, why did the church choose to have Jesus born of a virgin? Because it was well ensconced in the Greco-Roman world that the gods were miraculously conceived. Whether it was Alexander the Great, Romulus, even Caesar Augustus, Octavius, conceived to virgins, or miraculously conceived. In the ancient world, they believed that Hercules his mother was impregnated by Zeus. So eventually, the key is that Rome did not convert to Christianity, but rather Christianity converted to Rome. It adopted the ways and thinking and the mores of the pagan world that surround them, and it made it more attractive for the Greco-Roman world because they already believed in these ideas that their gods were miraculously conceived very freely to virgins. And therefore, even Justin in the 2nd century, in his work where he defends Christianity, he says, what are you so upset about Christianity for? It's the same kind of stuff. You believe that, you believe this. And you can actually witness it today, particularly in the Roman Catholic religion, that Roman Catholicism is practiced and celebrated, and its rituals are often very unique to the country where it's adhered to. So if you go to Mexico, as an example, We have a very large Roman Catholic population. They inculcate in Roman Catholicism in Mexico and Central America many of the saints and many of the pagan beliefs into it that are local to Mexico. In South America, we find many Roman Catholic countries. In fact, the largest Roman Catholic country in the world is in South America, Brazil. So they also inculcated, they picked up many of the deities and ideas and practices that the native Indians from South America believed. So they just, let's bring it in too. Why not? So it's just a buffet of whatever you want, and that's what they do. And that's why Roman Catholicism in the United States looks strikingly different than it does as it's practiced in Argentina. Because in South America, in Mexico, many of their pagan gods that they already believed in, they just brought into it. Mix it up as you want, as long as you get to Jesus, whether in pretense or in truth, the gospel is preached. I didn't say that, Paul said that. So that's the key feature. Now, Christians are completely oblivious to this point. 99.9% of Christians are just not aware that the way a person is from the house of David has to be father to son. And, moreover, the Tanakh is very careful to tell us that the Mashiach is a son of a man. Very important. The son of a man, Ben Adam in Hebrew, Bar Enosh in Aramaic, is there to tell you that the person is human and has a mommy and a daddy. Again, Christianity converted to Rome. And what was Rome? It was from Greece, and therefore it simply inculcated all the things it liked. Just like when the United States became independent and defeated the British, they didn't toss away all the ideas that were from Britain. They kept all the good stuff, the language of England. They kept the names that from Britain and many of the cities in the United States, most of New York. These names come from England. Many laws are English laws. Why? They like them. So that's all it is you just you keep the stuff you like, and you toss away those things that you don't like. The Americans, of course, would not want a monarchy, so they would dispense with that. Many other things. They wanted nothing to do with anything that had to do with King George III. They couldn't stand his guts, and that was the end of it. It's very simple what's happened there, but I want to caution you on one caution with this point. If you come off and say that to a Christian, most Christians, they won't understand what you're talking about, and it seems too complicated for them because they never even thought about this. And it's very important when speaking to a Christian to listen, not talk. Hear, not speak so much. Listen to what they're saying, why they believe in Christianity, and then ask them, tell me, why do you believe this? Let them explain to you what they think is important, and then address their issues rather than introducing an issue of your own, which they never raise. I'm not saying don't raise it, but I just want to caution you. Christians are very sensitive, understandably. Most of them are very sincere people, but like everyone, they could be offended easily. And this is way too sophisticated for 95% of them. So it could be brought up, but the nicest and most thoughtful way to help a Christian is to answer her questions rather than introducing issues of your own. This will be much more valuable in terms of nourishing a meaningful conversation that could bear the fruits than the real fruits, and that is the teachings of our Kodesh Baruch. Hashem should only strengthen you and go from strength to strength of it. Thank you for your thoughtful question. If you enjoyed this program, please like and subscribe.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל